Hey guys, Yama Killer here with a bit of a different video today. I had this situation come up in the Modern Challenge a couple days ago, which I thought was a pretty straightforward decision in the game, but with how the game ended up playing out, ended up being a bit more difficult. Now, I thought initially this hand in this play for this turn was pretty straightforward. My hand is incredibly powerful. I have Tron. It should be fairly easy to figure out and such. But after discussing with my stream as well as discussing on Twitter, lots of people had lots and lots of different ways to play this turn. So I just wanted to talk about all the different ways you could play this turn and what possibly is the best play, what to expect, and what to do here. So initially, your first thought may be, okay, we've got Ugin the Ineffable, we've got Tron, we should probably just be playing that and doing some powerful things with it. Now, the question is, you have a lot of different things you can do with this hand. First, if you want to play Ugin the Ineffable, you have a couple different decisions with it. You can just plus, pass the turn. You can minus on the Eidolon, pass the turn. You can minus on the Eidolon, play Mind Stone, pass with Warping Whale up. You can Ugin minus on the Eidolon, play Mind Stone, play Warping Whale. Play Thought Knot Seer. See what your opponent's doing. You can play Ugin plus play Mind Stone, play Thought Knot Seer, see what opponent's is up, take the 2 damage from the Eidolon, be at 15, have a very aggressive board. You can also, play Ugin plus Mind Stone, leave up Warping Whale. Or, if you don't want to go down the Ugin route, you can just play Thought Knot Seer. You could play Thought Knot Seer, see what opponent has in their hand, evaluate, see if you want to play the Mind Stone that turn as well. Or you can just, depending on what they have in their hand, play Thought Knot Seer. Now, when I played this game, I thought initially, okay, usually when I play against Burn, I want to mitigate the amount of damage that I'm taking, because if their hand is nutted at this point, even when I take their, look at their hand with Thought Knot Seer, I could very, very easily lose and take a lot of damage. And playing the Mind Stone into the Eidolon, it takes a turn off the clock for my opponent. Or not necessarily a turn, but takes a spell off the clock for my opponent. And if that's the case, I should usually just be playing Ugin, minusing on the Eidolon. Thought Knot Seer is able to take a Path to Exile while they're tapped out, take whatever spell they have to deal with Ugin potentially, as well as put a good beater on the board that most likely with the card draw from Mind Stone on the next turn, along with the fact that I have multiple draw steps to find anything. They have to expend a spell on Ugin if they're dealing with Ugin. I get to take the path with the Thought Knot Seer if they have Path to Exile, as well as the fact that I have a big beater that they can't deal with. They need to be dealing with the beater as well as dealing with my life total, and if I draw basically any relevant spell, it's nearly impossible for them to win if they're having to deal with all of these things at once. So, my thought, and what I did in this game, you will see, is play out Ugin minus on the Eidolon, play out Mind Stone, play Thought Knot Seer, look at my opponent's hand. Now, my opponent's hand was Screw the Critics, Lightning Bolt, Sunbait Canyon, and a Boros Charm. I took the Boros Charm because in conjunction with another Boros Charm, it'll take a turn off the clock for my opponent. All these spells basically do the same thing, so I thought to myself, take the Boros Charm, the most amount of damage. They're not stuck on lands. They're not stuck on spells. It's just take the most damage here. Now, the way that I played this game left me open to a very serious problem, which is what happens if I just draw lands. I will most likely lose this game. Where, if I just draw lands for a long amount of time, if I went with the Ugin Plus, there's a high likelihood that instead of flooding out and dying, that they have to expend 2 spells to kill the Ugin, or I just have a continuing flow of threats, in which case I'm mitigated from the fact that I just draw only lands. And as you can see from this game, as it's going to move forward, opponent deals with the Ugin, they drew Swift Spear, I have a way to deal with Swift Spear, I draw the Spatial Contortion, I'm able to get in, I get to leave up the Warping Whale for a Skewer the Critics. If they try to go Bolt plus Skewer on my Thought Knot Seer, I have Blast Zone set up for potential future threats on the ground. The worst case scenario happened is they killed my Ugin with the Bolt, they pathed my Thought Knot Seer, now they got an extra card, this land doesn't matter to me, and as you will see in this game moving forward, I'm going to draw essentially all lands and lose this game. So, because of the fact that I lost a game that I thought was nearly unlosable, I wanted to discuss this with you guys, look at all the different possible plays in this game, and look at how I ended up losing it and possibly made the wrong play. I'm still not quite sure. Even looking back in it and talking about it with multiple people, I still think my play was correct. Thinking about all the possible things that could have happened, I think that my play, while conservative in the situation, played to the best of the ability and to what I think was the best possible situation, or not the best possible situation, but the most common situation that could happen, and didn't really take into account the fact that I was going to draw what seems to be around 4 to 5 lands in a row. So I ended up losing this game, and yeah, unfortunate for us, but sometimes you just draw a lot of lands in a row. But I did want to discuss this play because I thought it was somewhat interesting to look at plays, even though when you think you can't possibly lose it, maybe you should look a little bit closer at the games and see what possibly you could have changed in situations where you do end up losing, and what you could do to mitigate those like 1 to 2% chances of loss from certain situations. So thank you guys for watching. If you like these types of videos, make sure to tell me in the comment. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch and Twitter in the description below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye bye.